Hello everybody and welcome back to Subnautica, and this is episode 6. So last episode we went to the Aurora, we kind of repaired the the core of the Aurora, so we got rid of a lot of the radiation, meaning we can actually use our rebreather now, so exploration becomes a lot easier. We can actually breathe deep underwater now, which we could hardly do before because it ran out really quickly. And yeah, I think this is episode 6 today. I think it's 6, might be 7. Sorry, no. Sorry, that's really bad. I'll ground myself, it's fine. Now, something a bit awkward happened this episode. The plans are, by the way, we're going to make a prawn suit, going to go exploring, find some of the arm modules for the prawn suit. Yeah, we've got some interesting plans. I would say it's going to be more of a chilled one today, but we've got a lot of exploring to do. We're going down to some deeper biomes. We're going to make a modification station, upgrade our CMOS, so we can go proper nice and deep, and have a good explore today, because I feel like that's something we've not done too much of just yet. So today is the exploration episode, I suppose. But yeah, that has been a slight issue. Nothing too bad, don't worry. But yeah, I'm really bad at messing up these episodes. So this time, what I've done is I failed to record my mic audio. I don't know what happened. This time, I don't think it's my fault. I am blaming my recording software this time. But yeah, so this is going to be a bit more of a voiceover episode. So if you've seen 100 days videos, this episode's going to be a lot like that, where I'm just kind of voicing over. I've still got all the footage and everything. Everything's completely fine. I just forgot to record my voice pretty much. So I forgot my recording software, I forgot. So yeah, I'm a bit of a melon, and yeah, this episode should still be completely fine, and to be honest, probably for the best. It would have been a much longer episode, but we've been able to trim it down quite nicely, so overall, I'm not that upset. So yeah, enjoy the episode. We're going to proceed with it right now. So, to start off the episode, we were going to need a lot of resources today, so on my way back towards the Safe Shallows area, I stopped by some reefback leviathans, because they have these barnacles on their back, which are a really good way of farming copper, and I do believe you can get some silver in there as well. But copper is a really useful resource, so I stopped by, grabbed a bunch, and chucked it into the CMOS. Since we're heading back towards the shallows, I wanted to grab my mobile vehicle bay so we can move it back closer to our base. While I was there, I had a little look at what the prawn suit would cost to make, and most of it was pretty cheap. It was a couple plastic ingots, some aerogel, enamelled glass, and they were kind of just the main things. Then it's just random resources like diamond and lead, so nothing really too bad. One resource that we would have to gather would be stalker teeth. If you didn't know, to make enamelled glass you need your regular quartz for the glass, and you need to combine it with the tuft of a stalker, obviously. And the way you get those is you kind of follow these guys around, and every time they grab titanium, like the metal scrap around, you'll see they have a slight chance of dropping their teeth. And you only need 1 tooth per enamelled glass, but I wanted to grab around 4, just so we had a little bit for the future if we needed it. So I grabbed some here, and then headed back towards the life pod. While we were here, there were a couple resources I wanted to gather, such as titanium, gel sac spores, and I wanted to replace our radiation helmet with the rebreather, which we got rid of a little while ago, but now we've repaired the Aurora, we can afford to put it back on. Before leaving to head back to base, I crafted a computer chip and filled up on titanium scrap. Back at the base, the first order of business was to craft a modification station. With this made, we would now be able to make some crucial upgrades, such as the thermal knife, better storage tanks for our oxygen, and various upgrades for our vehicles. I crafted the thermal knife instantly because it was dirt cheap and would let us cook fish on the go. I then had a little look at the depth modules for the CMOS, and I realised it wouldn't take all that much for us to get our CMOS fully upgraded, meaning we could go a lot deeper, up to triple our current depth if we made all of them. But we'd still need a few more resources. Namely plasteel ingots, which is titanium, and a lot of lithium. Lithium being a resource we lack, titanium being a resource we just need a butt ton of this episode, so it wouldn't hurt us to get more at all. So we headed towards Life Pod 19, where we know there's a lot of resources including gel sacks, which I did want a couple more of so we could start growing them in our aquarium. Something else we found while we were knocking around by Life Pod 19 was this strange, eerie blood kelp biome. These big blue kelpie plants which grew these kind of, I don't know what it'd be called, capsules called blood oil. And we hadn't found any of these before, we hadn't been to this biome, so this was very interesting. We knew where these were now. I grabbed a couple, but they took up a load of space, so we only grabbed 2. But we would absolutely come back here later. I hadn't explored this part of the map at all. I've seen other blood kelp biomes. This one, completely new to me. I have no idea what's down there. Probably another entrance to the Lost River, but I've never used this one before. So I'm really excited to look into this area, but not for now because we can't go much deeper currently. While preparing to leave the area and start heading back to base, I saw something very peculiar in the distance, something we found in the last episode as well. There was a time capsule just lying on the ground, and what was inside? Yeah, 2 plasteel ingots. We needed about 4 of those this episode, and we found 2 just lying around in a time capsule. That is insane luck. Literally, you know, I'm starting to be convinced this episode's scripted. Like, that's actually insane luck. I couldn't believe it at all. So we need a lot less titanium and lithium now. It's not the most expensive thing to craft plasteel ingots, but that would definitely help us out an awful lot, especially because just carrying titanium does take up a lot of our storage space, so I appreciated that a lot. On the way back to base, we stopped at the jelly shroom caves to pick up some magnetite, as it's a resource I saw that we needed and we kind of lacked. Back at base with a bunch more loot in hand, our lockers restored, it was time to start crafting up what we needed. And heading to the surface just above our base, because we've of course now moved our little vehicle bay, I started crafting up our prawn suit. And I realised it was going to sink straight to the bottom of the ocean, so I was getting ready to hop into it on the way down, and I think I did a pretty good job. This was cool. Oh yeah, okay, maybe not that cool, but I thought it was cool. So yeah, we now have a prawn suit, and this thing is really awesome. So instead of like sailing it through the water like the sea moth, this thing kind of sits on the bottom of the ocean with a couple of different tools at its arsenal. As base, you just have kind of the punching ability, and it will walk along the seafloor, but you can upgrade it with different arms, which the ones that I usually like using are the grappling hook, which is just pretty fun to swing around, get around the map a bit quicker. It also gets a few cool ones like the propulsion arm, the drill arm to get like loads of resources from the little nose. I'll show you that one later. And it can pick up random resources, as you can see here, grabbing some diamonds, which is a pretty cool vehicle. This prawn suit will be crucial for exploring the deepest parts of the map, as this is the vehicle that can take you the deepest to the easiest. But for the time being, it wouldn't be very useful until it had some good upgrades onto it. So I redirected my focus back to our Seamoth, and I wanted to get the depth modules, which, as I said earlier, weren't too expensive, but would do a lot for us. And with these depth modules, we would go exploring, looking around for some of the prawn suit upgrades. And so, I got them both crafted up with haste. First one down, then the second one, well, technically Mark 3, and I slotted it straight into our Seamoth, which could now go down all the way to 900 meters deep. This could take us to like the earliest parts of the Lost River, I'm pretty sure, so that's really, really good. The next order of business was taking off our current capacity tank and making a whole new one, which is really cheap, it's just a bit of lithium. And for some reason, I thought that the new grand total we were at, 225, was the same as the old one, but no, it is much higher. It's like almost double what we had before. So yeah, you can see my confused face there. I was just being really stupid. I don't even know where I got that idea from, but there you go. Anyways, it was time to go for an adventure of our Seamoth, gather some more resources, and just have a little look around. So I parked up the prawn suit in the moon pool, and I did definitely want to make a second moon pool, because this area is really dangerous. Like, there's bad stuff everywhere. I don't want to have a vehicle left out of base at any time at all, so we would definitely benefit from having 2 moon pools. So that was the plan, basically. I was making my way back from gathering a bunch of resources. You can see we got some like lubricant and metal scrap and everything, so we can make a new moon pool, when I bumped into this floating island biome. And I knew this place existed. I had no idea where it was. But yeah, there's that bone shark made me jump as well, by the way. But yeah, it turns out like I was just heading from the life pod back to base, and I guess I might have taken like a different detour than normal, because I've never bumped into this biome before. And there was a giant shipwreck right here. Now, I did want to come looking for this biome, because I feel like I remembered that shipwreck, and I had a feeling there might have been something prawn suit related in there. I didn't know for sure. As I say, I've mentioned before, I'm not googling anything in this series since I played the game before, but I remembered that this shipwreck was somehow important. So it was time to explore it, and cross my fingers that I remembered it because it had prawn suit bits in there. So I looked for a safe entrance, because there were bone sharks everywhere. I really needed to hide my Seamoth somewhere. Like, I kid you not, literally, whenever I got out my Seamoth, they were just straight to the attack. They were really, really irritating here. So I found a little area I could park it, and I headed straight through the door. This shipwreck was pretty big, so it was a good thing we had our new oxygen tank to help us survive a lot longer. And the first thing I saw when I went in was one fragment of the prawn suit grappling arm. This was amazing. This is like the #1 arm I wanted from this wreck, so it's really handy that we found, you know, one piece straight away. That means that, you know, we weren't wasting our time being here, basically. So yeah, we were able to head through the next door, which is a simple pole door. And right in my face was a giant prawn suit propulsion arm, which is pretty cool, I guess. I don't know if we'll really use this one, because we already have the propulsion cannon we can use by hand. But if the prawn suits one is like any stronger than the one we have by hand, I guess it could be kind of fun to use, but I'm not entirely sure. But luckily there was a second grappling arm fragment inside, which means we could now make a grappling arm. You know, that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted, so I could not complain in the slightest. I went to have a little look at how much it would cost to make, and it did cost some benzene, which benzene is a bit of a weird one, but when I was back at base I did see that that's crafted from the blood oil, which we happened to bump into earlier. Annoyingly, you needed 3 pieces of blood oil. I only grabbed 2, but we know exactly where it was. It's right by life pod 19, so we could make our way back. And the next room had another proton arm fragment, so we could also craft that one as well, but we wouldn't get around to that this episode. Next up was a sealed door which could only be cut through with a laser cutter, so I grabbed my laser cutter and chopped my way, yeah, I don't think chop's the word, but I cut my way through this door to see what was on the other side. And through the door was an entire prawn suit, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I didn't actually see the prawn suit, I just saw the arm. I was just trying to scan it, see what it was. It was nothing. I knew you could scan prawn suit bits outside of the Aurora, but I thought it was much smaller pieces, like just singular arms. You had to scan like 16 of or something like that. It's a bit crazy. That sounds a bit high now I'm saying it, but yeah, I thought it was something like that. But no, this was a full, like, entire prawn suit just out in this random wreck. Obviously, you need to find 3 more of these. I don't know where you'd find 3 more of these, because there was only one on this wreck. So whether there's, like, 4 big wrecks around the map, each one has a prawn suit bit in. I don't think it'd really be worth going for, though. You might as well go to the Aurora. Like, seriously, the Aurora's not that bad to explore. If you check out the last episode, you know, we really had no issues. I mean, we did die, but we didn't actually die to any, like, real hazards, which is a bit silly. But yeah, if you want prawn suit bits, come to this wreck, I suppose. I cut my way into the final room of the wreck, and I found these swim charge fins, which sounds really cool. So basically how they work is as you're swimming along, they'll charge up the weapon that you're currently holding. So if you're, you know, well, I say weapon, the item I mean. So if you're just swimming around holding your sea glide, it should passively restore battery, and I've not really tested these yet, but I can only imagine based off that your sea glide couldn't really deplete in battery. Either that or it just depletes a lot slower. But obviously that goes for any tool you're holding as well. If you've got a battery charger, it's not really the most important thing in the world, but it's a nice little boost. So yeah, I exited the wreck and picked up some shell outcrops. I mean, obviously we need a bunch of loot, you know, to make stuff, so that'd be really helpful. And we found the blueprint for a creature decoy, which basically just distracts anything that we need it to. Which I'm not sure how we could use that. I'm sure there's a few, like, uses for that. But maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. We'll have to see later on in the series, because it won't be useful right now. While briefly checking around the outside of the wreckage, I found what is the equivalent of gold, but just way better than gold. It was a prawn suit drill arm fragment. The only catch with this is that there was only one. I checked around the wreck multiple times, I couldn't see a single other drill fragment. I don't know whether I just missed it, but I did check a good few times, and I couldn't find one, which would mean we'd have to go back and look for a different wreckage and try and find this drill arm. So that would be, you know, a mission for the next bit of the episode. But I continued home for the time being. Next order of business, a little bit of base work. I started off making titanium ingots so I could craft up a second moon pool, as well as crafting a new locker and some random other bits. With all the resources I needed now in hand, obviously the moon pool isn't super expensive, just a couple of titanium ingots, bit of lubricant, and I think it was some lead as well. I decided to pop it right next to my other moon pool, so I could kind of just have like 2 little bays right next to each other. Probably be a bit inconvenient, you know, overall, but it was cool, I guess. Weirdly, the thermal vent kind of like exploded straight up into the moon pool, so I don't think that's very like structurally safe or anything. Might cause harm to my vehicles, but in Subnautica it's fine, so we don't have to worry about that, luckily. So yeah, there we go. We now have a little docking area, so both of our vehicles can be stored. And this should be all the docking space we need, because when we eventually get the Cyclops, which will probably be next episode, to be honest, obviously that's way too big to store in a moon pool. So yeah, our base is pretty well upgraded now for all we might possibly need. Now, before we end off the episode, it was about time we found our drill arm for the prawn suit, and obviously want to make them as well, but I had no idea where to even begin looking, so I sailed out away from my base, kind of in the direction directly opposite the life pod, and first of all there was this little dune area, like in front of the Aurora. There was loads of metal scrap here. Whenever I need titanium, I know where I'm coming from now on. So we ventured through this area for a little bit, looking out for any, you know, large wreckage. Didn't find any wrecks. There are a few different ore nodes and stuff, so once you have our drill arm on the prawn suit, those would be pretty useful as well. But we found a big sheer drop, and I wasn't originally sure if this was a biome in itself, but soon my PDA informed me I was entering the ecological dead zone.
Entering ecological dead zone. Adding report to databank.
Now, for any of you that know Subnautica and what this area is, you probably know that I was quickly about to die, but luckily I had some common sense, so I got out of there before that could happen, and then yeah, you saw that giant ghost leviathan there, so that's a lot of fun. We won't be going back there, not intentionally at least. I decided to head in the kind of complete opposite direction to the other side of the map, because this whole side of the map I kind of knew was like just bulb bushes and the mountain biome, and then, you know, the island, and then like the floating islands and stuff. So I didn't think there'd be too much more over this end. So I went kind of towards Life Pod 19, that type of area, and I found this weird biome, which I don't know what this is called. I want to say like bulb bush, but I know that our biome is bulb bush. I have no idea what this is, but that's irrelevant. The point is, there was a giant wreckage here. And I didn't even need to go inside before I saw a prawn suit drill arm. So this was absolutely perfect. This is exactly what we needed. And we now had both pieces that we need to make the drill. Now, the plan was to explore the wreck, find an entrance, and see what other loot we can find inside. And just on the outside, we did find this little box here, which, when looted, unlocked for me the Cyclops Depth Module Mark 1. I don't know where the Mark 2 is or how many modules there are, but this would be really good. This is just a, you know, a really nice one to have for our Cyclops, which, as I say, we are probably planning on making next episode. Now, before I could loot the rest of the wreck, I saw something which really put me off. And you can kind of see I very much ignored it there until it made a really scary sound, and I was like, where enough is that? What is that? And after looking around, there was a warper. Yeah, warpers. So these giant teleporting murderous aliens whose sole intention is to kill humans. Yeah, there was just one of those just living in this rack. So yeah, I got out of there very hastily. These guys are terrifying. They leave you alone if you're not infected, but we are infected with the disease, the virus. So yeah, I didn't even want to worry about trying to explore the wreck. It just wasn't worth it to me. I left and decided to start heading home. We had what we needed. On my way home, I did stop by the blood kelp biome because we needed 3 of these, you know, little, I still don't know what they'd be. I think it'd be like capsules, right? Nodules? I don't really know. Yeah, but we grabbed another one so that we could, you know, make some benzene for our, what was it? I think it was the grappling hook needed the benzene. I arrived back at base and assembled all the ingredients I was pretty sure I needed, and luckily my memory served me well, and I was able to make both of the appropriate attachments. So with the grappling hook and drill arm now made, I put them both straight onto the prawn suit. So they go into these little upgrade slots right here, fairly simple, and then there's plenty of space for other upgrades like space and everything. The storage that comes with the prawn suit, you don't need an upgrade, you get a bunch of storage with it, and it's pretty nice storage as well, because obviously the prawn suit can like collect resources and stuff. And I'll show you a little bit of how this thing works. So you can see the grappling hook is in use here a bit now. Basically gives us a lot of extra speed, lets us like whip around and everything, get us up areas. We have the jetpack as well, but the grappling hook is a very good assistant. And the drill here, you find these little nodules, there's a bit of gold right next to our base as a perfect example. You can just sit at these for a little while and grab a bunch of these resources, which are sometimes a little awkward to gather. Like, you know, with gold, for example, you go to the sandstone outcrops, there's 3 different things you can get from them. And, you know, they're kind of few and far between sometimes, but these nodes are a much easier, more consistent way of doing it. And, oh yeah, look at that haul. That is a lot of gold, and then obviously the diamond we grabbed earlier, which I kind of forgot where we got it, but yeah, we grabbed that one earlier with the prawn suit. And yeah, that is a lot of gold. That's 12 pieces just from one little node, and that goes for pretty much any resource in the game, as long as we can find the appropriate rock for it. And here's a much better example of the grappling hook. Proper, like, really nice swinging ability. It's quite fun to use. I definitely recommend making one if you haven't before for your prawn suit. It's basically an essential for me. I couldn't live without the grappling arm. But yeah, and that pretty much concludes the episode, so it was time to start wrapping everything up. And there you have it, everyone. So, all things considered, with the mistakes I made, you know, with the recording software, it's not the end of the world. We got there in the end. I don't think the episode turned out too poorly. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching to the end. To be honest, it's been quite a nice short one because of, you know, the way we've done it. So, probably for the best. My episodes can kind of drag on a little bit sometimes. It's just how I do things, I guess. I don't know. I can't do this whole 20-minute episode thing like everyone else can. I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you so very much for watching to the end. I do truly appreciate it. Remember to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you want to hear some audio in the next one. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. And to be honest, the next episode might not even be Subnautica 1. We might be starting the Subnautica 2 series, because that starts tomorrow. The game releases. So depending on the time zone, hopefully I'll be able to get an episode on that out straight away. But yeah, this series obviously absolutely isn't cancelled, but Subnautica 2 being the new flashy thing will probably take a bit of priority for a little bit. So it might be a week or so till we get the next Subnautica 1 episode. So just stay tuned if you guys are interested, and it'll be here at some point. So thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.